Good afternoon and welcome back to Save Time, Save Money Saturday. I'm Michelle Stinson-Ross with Offers.com, and I am joined this weekend by one of the super special shopping experts from Offers.com. Anna, would you mind taking a moment to introduce yourself and let people know who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, hi Michelle, hi everyone. My name's Anna. I work at Offers.com. I've been there for almost 3 years, and my current role is an SEO content associate. So basically what that means is I use keyword research and data, and I look at trends to see what people want on our site, what kind of content they're interested in, what they're searching for, what they're buying, and just what generally interests them. And I also have been writing for the blog, and I really enjoy doing that and reaching out to our audience that way as well.
Cool. It's interesting from a data side how much we learn about the shopping process and what sales are out there and how we can save money by looking at all of these data points that your average consumer doesn't get to see, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's pretty eye-opening, and it's great because it makes you a really valuable resource to just like even friends and family. I mean, you can let them know like when sales are going to happen, what, time of year they typically happen, what's the best time of year to buy certain products. Like that's all very helpful.
Which is how you got to be such an expert on the sales tax holiday, right?
I guess so. I mean, expert, that's quite a title, but I will accept it.
Well, we're going to tap into that expertise just a little bit by asking you a few questions and letting you share all the cool things that you've learned. And my first question for you is, so what exactly is a tax-free weekend and how does it work?
So yes, that's a good basic question. Tax-free weekend, it typically occurs around the back-to-school season. We're looking late July to mid-August. And what it is it's a weekend where each state can decide whether or not it wants to participate. And if so, if it does participate, they do not charge sales tax on certain items for that weekend. Same goes for local tax too. If you are charged local tax, not every state requires that, but some, cities, counties, and districts can decide whether they want to charge that too. But yeah, there are price thresholds and exclusions, and it really is up to the state to decide what is and is not tax-free during that weekend.
Gotcha. Just as a note to our viewers, both live and our recorded version, we are actually trying out one of the new apps available in Google Hangouts called called the Showcase app. And I wanted to show this particular article that Anna wrote about 4 things you need to know about the tax-free weekend. There is a lot of really good information in there. Not only does she explain what the tax-free weekend is all about, but there's also some shopping tips and other things in this article, and it kind of goes along with the conversation that we're having here. So if you miss anything, if you didn't quite understand what it was we were talking about in the moment, by all means, click on one of these links and read through, because Anna did some great work really explaining this in our blog. And one of the things covered in this particular article was how the sales tax holiday applies to online shopping. So if you want to address that one, Anna.
Yeah, that's a really important one because I feel like a lot of people focus on in-store, and that's great too, but you can definitely shop tax-free online, and that sometimes is like way easier, so you don't have to deal with the crowds and all that. So basically, yeah, the same rules apply. If the store has a physical presence in a state that is having a sales tax holiday, then your purchase on that item will be tax-free. So for example, Best Buy, Walmart, big retailers like that, they typically have a store in every city across the country. So if you're in a state that is tax-free and you're online, you're going to get that item tax-free as well.
Excellent. So am I right in understanding that this is something over and above sales and things that retailers do? There is an opportunity to combine sales, discounts, coupons, other things with the opportunity of saving the sales tax on the designated weekend, correct?
It's true, but I definitely would not suggest banking on that. It really is up to the store to decide whether or not it wants to, validate any other discounts or coupons at the time. That kind of takes priority. It's not like the state can force the retailer to accept other discounts. So I would suggest, if you are planning on using a coupon, you probably would like to call that store first and just make sure that you're going to be able to get your purchase tax-free and additionally use the coupon. But I wouldn't guarantee it, and in fact, most states don't.
Gotcha. Are there any differences in those policies when it comes to online shopping? Because we have a great back-to-school savings center at offers.com, and there are lots of discounts and coupon codes that people can grab and use for their school shopping. Are there any differences in the way retailers combine sales tax-free with online coupons?
I actually don't have any personal experience doing that, but my assumption is that you would probably be able to use online promo codes and discounts a lot more easily than you would be able to use coupons in store. And that's just kind of going off of a feeling of, I shop online a lot, and sometimes you get to the cart and you enter the promo code, and it's just the computer system taking it through. So I'm not sure if it's going to realize, the additional sales as a human being might in store. But again, I can't say for sure whether or not that's true. You'll probably just need to go ahead and call the online customer service for that store and verify that you're going to be able to use your promo code. I would say if you're already online and you're already shopping, we've got some great back to school stuff. If you're already shopping and you see one of our coupon codes, go ahead and try and use it if you're at checkout. There's no harm. It'll either tell you if you can or can't. Just don't go in expecting to be able to use it. And kind of on that note, that's, I think, why maybe, you don't have to throw all your eggs in one basket. You don't have to get everything during tax-free weekend because you can actually save more when you shop online some of these other sales that are happening at the same time. And then you will be able to use the coupon codes, and you can get free shipping and, all kinds of discounts. So if you are in a state that is not tax-free, I wouldn't, consider, it all a loss.
Right. And let's see. Matter of fact, that was kind of the next question I wanted to ask you. What other money-saving tips do you have for residents of states that don't have a tax-free holiday? Because I think we said, is it 19 or 17 states total right now?
It's 17. It's 17 right now. 17 states are having a tax-free weekend. Massachusetts is that one unfortunate state. I'm sorry to anyone from Massachusetts. Your legislature will not decide when your tax-free weekend will be, but you are having one, so that's good. Anyways, so that's a really good question. And like what I just said, don't sweat the hard stuff. It's not like this is your only opportunity to save on your back-to-school shopping. There are lots of other sales going on at the same time. Retailers, really take advantage of this time of season. So you can always, shop other sales. The other interesting thing actually is you don't have to be a resident of a tax-free state only to get the tax-free discount. So, if you live in New York and you're not getting a tax-free weekend, but you're close to another state that is tax-free, you can just take a little trip over there and shop in that state. It's totally valid.
Well, would the same strategy apply if you want to take advantage of more than one tax-free weekend? Because I know that the state of Mississippi is currently in the middle of their tax-free weekend started yesterday, and it's still good today. If you lived in, say, Louisiana, you could go do tax-free next door in Mississippi.
Totally. You could totally take advantage of all the sales. You could, people follow bands on concert tours. You could be the tax-free tour, and you can go to all different kinds of states and take advantage. Yeah, Mississippi is definitely, they're having theirs this weekend. I think all of the other ones pretty much start next weekend. Some are August 8th and 9th, but the majority take place next weekend, so it's coming up.
That's why we wanted to talk about it today, while we can still catch folks before they take advantage. Let's see. What else? Da-da-da-da. When combining sales and tax-free, and I mean, is it really worth it to worry so much about whether it's a tax-free weekend or not? Do people really save that much money? Where does this really fall out as far as true value for the consumer?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because yeah, what it really comes down to is like, how much am I saving? And tax-free weekend could be really good for a lot of states that have a very high sales tax, especially if you have a good game plan, if you know what you need, you know, you're going to go out and this is really the time you want to take advantage of buying, you know, jeans for your family and the school supplies for your 3 kids, and you've got, you know, very clear idea, and you know the brand exclusions, and you know the price thresholds, and you pay a really high sales tax. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for you to go out and get that stuff for a really good discount. Especially tax-free is great for stores and retailers that don't normally have sales. I know a huge example is Apple. Apple rarely ever has sales and discounts on their products, and those are really hot and popular. So tax-free is a great opportunity for you. You know, if you can spend at least $2,000 on a new Apple product and you can get that tax-free, I mean, that's possibly $200, $300 worth of savings on that product during tax-free weekend. And you know, it's not like you'd be able to save more on it later because they're going to have like a 40% off sale. It's not going to happen. So I would really take advantage of stores that you know do not have sales. On the flip side, Old Navy, for example, you know, they have sales a lot on their clothing. So you might save $20 on your purchase at Old Navy during tax-free weekend, but you could also maybe take advantage of a later 40% off sale on all jeans. So that's kind of, it's really relieving for, yeah, the states that don't have tax-free weekend, that there, you know, there are going to be other options, but for the states that are tax-free, I definitely recommend looking into those places that you know do not have sales.
Excellent tip. Thank you for that. Since we're kind of talking about price thresholds, exclusions, stuff like that anyway, what are kind of the general rules that we need to keep in mind as far as taking advantage of the sales tax holiday?
Yeah, so again, you know, I would definitely direct everyone to go to that blog and look at your states, because it's got a really nice chart that kind of outlines, you know, what the sales tax is and what it applies to, and the thresholds. It's already all on there, and it also links to the Department of Revenue for each state. But as kind of a general rule, most states are up to $100 on clothing and school supplies, backpacks, shoes, things like that. So what that really means is, as long as each item in your cart is under $100, you're going to get it tax-free. So if you have, you know, a $50 pair of jeans, a $30 pair of shoes, and then a $200 pair of, I don't know, jewelry, you're not going to get that $200 thing tax-free, but you're still going to get your $50 jeans and your $30 shoes tax-free. And you know, same sort of rules apply for electronics and computers, except the threshold is typically higher, which is good because those things are more expensive. You're looking at about $2,000 to $3,000 there. Oh, and as far as exclusions, it really is important to know that it can get kind of picky. Certain brands do not apply to the tax-free savings. So I don't know any off the top of my head, but I'm just saying, don't expect to go buy a laptop and you can get a tax-free one on all Toshiba, all Dell, all HP. That might not be the case. And same with like buying shoes or, you know, any other items. I know for one big one is cowboy boots are not often tax-free, and sporting gear is often not tax-free. So you probably aren't going to get like soccer cleats. You're probably not going to get cowboy boots. So just, you know, kind of be aware that not everything is going to be tax-free, and your state will have, you know, what is and what is not on that chart or in your Department of Revenue tax site.
Okay. General rule of thumb, at least what I kind of gleaned from looking through our tax-free weekend article, was that generally speaking, most states will waive sales tax on necessity items, but not necessarily what they might consider luxury items. And that kind of the gist.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're probably not going to get your designer Coach purses and things like that tax-free. I mean, hey, you might. I figure if you're already out shopping, you might as well try. But yeah, it really is. I mean, because it was, the sales tax holiday was enacted, back in the day, not too long ago, like 1990s, as a way for parents to save on back-to-school shopping. So it's kind of geared towards that. It's geared towards, your socks and your underwear and your crayons and your notebooks and, things like that. You're not going to be getting your fancy stuff right now.
Right. Well, even so, I was kind of surprised at some of the stuff that was allowed because I see in Alabama and Arkansas. I've got the chart on a screen here.
Oh, awesome.
That I'm kind of going into some of the detail because this is.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a really good resource.
Alabama, Arkansas, some of these states, let's see, Florida as well, I'm seeing allow diapers as part of the tax-free.
There you go. That's great. That's
like a back-to-school item, but man, why not stock up when you can save
a lot? And I think, along that line, I mean, that's great of Alabama. I mean, they've got a great state legislature there that they understand that, parents might be spending a lot of money otherwise on the older kids, getting them back to school stuff. And so something like diapers, I mean, that's an expensive purchase. So to get a tax break on that is definitely helpful.
Great. Scrolling through here, Georgia seems to have a great list of approved items. It's interesting. Everything from sweaters to uniforms, even formal wear. I mean, we don't really think about formal wear when we're talking about back to school, but hey, if you're planning a wedding.
Yeah. That's a good one. And uniforms. I can't believe I totally forgot that. Uniforms and backpacks. Those are huge. Most states do have tax-free. They allow tax-free on uniforms and backpacks. And I know, yeah, if there's a lot of actually really great online uniform retailers. And I went to private school growing up, and so I had to buy a uniform every year. And buying uniforms online is actually a way better idea because if you go to the store, they might not have your size. They might be out because they only get a limited stock of, navy blue polos. And if they don't have your size, you're kind of SOL, especially during the tax-free weekend. But if you can get that uniform tax-free and you can shop online and you can use additional coupon codes, you're going to save a lot more and you're going to be guaranteed you're going to get what you need. So uniforms, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a really important one.
Excellent. Well, and it seems like shopping online for a uniform, especially for a private school where you've got to have a uniform with the logo and all the other stuff, I mean, they're really detailed ones. I would think that shopping online is definitely a lot less hassle because places like Land's End have agreements with schools all over the country.
Exactly, yeah, and you can get custom orders. I know another big one is French Toast. That's a huge online retailer. But yeah, Land's End's a good one. And I mean, even kind of your basic items. I know like Kmart and Sears, they have like uniform sections and uniform sales. Because a lot of schools, my school was like pretty particular. We had to have a certain kind of plaid, but a lot of private schools just require, navy blue pants and the standard white polos, and so I know some of those stores definitely have good stock of that.
Okay. Do you know the states that allow sales tax exemptions on the uniforms? Do they make a big distinction between school uniforms and work uniforms? Because I'm scrolling through here. New Mexico actually mentions particularly school uniforms and work uniforms.
I actually don't. I don't know much information about that. I would assume it was mostly school uniforms. I don't know, exactly what would qualify as a work uniform. Where the line there would not a work uniform. I mean, I think I know scrubs would be considered something that you could get tax-free that would fall under the uniform category for work uniforms. Otherwise, I'm not too sure.
Well, considering that some states, be sure and check your own state's information. If they do offer a tax exemption on uniforms, by all means, take an extra moment and say, hey, does that include work uniforms or is that just school uniforms? Because that might be a good time of year to, replace some of your own worn out pieces if you're required to wear a uniform to work. But by all means, take the moment to save a little money for yourself as well.
And that's a good point too. I mean, we kind of all focus on back to school, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't take, people who don't have children who aren't shopping for back to school can't take advantage of tax-free weekend.
Right,
because clothing. You can get your clothing and like office, school supplies and office supplies, and I mean, the computers is like a main component. I mean, personally, I think, I'm in Texas, and so I think I'll take advantage of that opportunity to go look at, laptops and things like that I know I'm probably not going to get a better deal on during the year.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk for a moment about states that have either repealed or they don't have, because obviously North Carolina, we're sorry, people who live in North Carolina, yours got repealed.
That was sad. That was sad.
Obviously, you can travel south and go to South Carolina because theirs is still good from August 1st to August 3rd. That is one option. What are some of the other things that, states, barring traveling to a neighboring state that does have a tax-free holiday, what else can residents do?
Yeah, well, you just, I would suggest taking advantage of other sales. I mean, shop online. A really interesting thing that I do mention in that blog is that you can shop online tax-free a lot and not even be aware of it. Because, like I said, a retailer is only required to charge sales tax online if it has a physical presence in a state. So, like I said, Walmart, Target, those stores, pretty much everywhere, they automatically charge you sales tax. But online-only retailers like eBay and Amazon, they only have certain distribution centers and offices around the country. You don't have, an Amazon location in every state. And if you're in a state that does not have an Amazon location, you probably are not charged sales tax when you shop online. And if you are in a state that requires it and you are not charged sales tax online, you're kind of getting away with that. You're supposed to remember that and file it every year when you file your tax return. But I haven't looked at the statistics. I'm guessing most people do not do that. I'm not going to say whether or not that's a good or bad thing, but I'm just saying there are other opportunities for you if you do not have a tax-free weekend to shop tax-free online. But again, just to be safe, shop the other sales that are going on. There's a lot. Like you've mentioned, Michelle, like the offers.com back to school, that's like all kind of laid out for you really simply, and you can go right now and not have to worry about the hassle of going to the tax-free weekend and the crowds and all that jazz.
I'm all for that. I love shopping online just for the avoidance of schlepping around from store to store and having to elbow my way through a crowd. Whether it's back to school or Black Friday, I'd much rather shop online if at all possible.
Yeah, I kind of get like horror story visions of I remember as a child going to tax-free weekend and like having to barrels of crayons and people everywhere, and it's so crowded. I mean, and some people think that's fun and they get the thrill of the bargain, the hunt. But I mean, yeah, I'm right there with you. Just sit in the convenience of my couch and order my stuff online, and easy.
Well, and as you pointed out earlier, weekends like tax-free weekend, because if you're shopping at a brick-and-mortar store, they only have whatever they have in the store that day. Granted, there's probably will be a shipment come in later, the next day or two, but you definitely run the risk of having to deal with stock that's picked over.
Yeah, definitely.
Best idea I can probably pass along to you is if you want to shop the back-to-school tax-free weekends at the brick-and-mortar stores, go early before the stuff gets all picked over.
Go early and go with a plan. You already know where you're going. Don't just head to the mall and be like, I'm going to go shopping. No. Make a list, plan out what you need, and yeah, go early too. I mean, it's kind of like the same sort of mindset you should have if you go shopping on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, or just Black Friday, you need to take advantage of those doorbuster sales. You need to get there early and be the first one there. And yeah, there might already be lines, so be aware of that. You know, it's going to be an adventure if you go out tax-free weekend. So have fun with it, but know that.
Cool. There's one more thing I want to follow up on, because you wrote about it and you just mentioned it here, and that's the list. How valuable is that list, and how much does that help as far as saving money goes?
I think it's a huge factor, especially if you take into consideration if you look at that chart and you figure out what you're not going to get tax-free, and you kind of write that down too, just so you know, so you don't get in the store and you see something and then you're like, oh, I can save on this too, and you know, you forget what exactly is and isn't, because you know, the fine details can be kind of confusing. So making the list is really important, knowing what you need before you go out and how many, especially when you're dealing with really crowded stores, it can get hectic, and you know, you might get frazzled and just not want to deal with it. And it will really help you, save money, because you know, you'll end up spending more if you just kind of see it as a shopping spree advantage. To really save the most money, you need to go in with the budget and a game plan.
So the list holds you accountable to resisting the urge to put a little something in the cart.
Exactly.
Sweet. Anna, thank you. Are there any other super secret tips or something that I've missed that you want to share before we wrap it up here?
Not really. I think we've covered all the basics. I mean, yeah, what I really can't emphasize enough is to just do your research. Check with your state, check with your stores. It doesn't take, you know, that long to go ahead and call up Walmart and ask if they're also going to accept, you know, a manufacturer's coupon on crayons. And hey, if they do, that's just more money you're saving and time. So it's definitely worth it.
Excellent. Anna, thank you very much for spending Save Time, Save Money Saturday with us. I hope you have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you. It was fun.
All right. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us for another STSM Chat Hangout. Have a good one.